Hello, welcome to Two Hopes Garage. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're well. The W126 is over the shoulder today, and we are looking at help sorting out the slightly saggy back end on this old 126. And we are going to be doing that partly by changing out this. Prepare yourself for the world's least exciting unboxing. It's just a placky bag. We are looking at changing the rear diff mount. There's another item I will be changing out on this to try and bring that back end up a wee bit. I'll tell you about that later in the video. So, without further ado, let's see if we can get the old one off and replace it with a nice, new, non-saggy rear diff mount. So, let's crack on. So I'm going for a wee bit of handheld action here. So I've got a trolley jack just there. A couple of blocks of wood because the car's raised already. Holding up the diff. There's a diff mount up there. You've got a couple of 22mm bolts go straight into the back of the diff. And 4 13mm bolts hold it on to the underside of the vehicle. So first things first, I believe this anti-roll bar here, the world's slimmest anti-roll bar, is going to stop me getting anything on that. I'm going to remove these 4 bolts and lower it a wee bit on the jack. Okay, so first things first, let's get in with the old air ratchet with the 13mm on it. Just keep it nice and square and hopefully it'll have the torque to wheak this out. Awesome. You gotta love this thing. Another one over here. On it nice and square. Last but by no means least, this one here. Right, so hopefully you can see that. The axle's dropped a bit. I've had to get a breaker bar on these. As they were pretty tight. But that's okay. Those are finger tight now. These are actually in super nice condition. I'll maybe show you them once the thing's off. So there's our 2 mounts side by side. Old one, as if you don't know, and new one. What you can see, it's really quite pronounced, is that the rubber is sagged on this and it has allowed the mount to droop down. So I think we'll see a wee bit of a change in height, in ride height, once I pop this back on. If I'd been a thinking man, I'd have marked off the height of the car, or the ride height of the car, before, and checked it once this is fitted. However, I'm not a thinking man, so that's not happened, unfortunately. Our bolts, I really should replace these, but for the moment, we'll fit them, and I might swap them over. Big ones are good. Wee ones, pretty decent, apart from this one here had a bit of corrosion on the threads. I've run an M8 1 1/4 dye down there, cleaned it up. Oops, excuse me. And we'll be fitting a bit of 243 onto our bolts. So yeah, back to the car, and let's get this new one fitted. So we'll get our new mount up into place, remembering you can see shaped portion towards the front, flat portion towards the rear. Oops. What the eagle-eyed amongst you might have observed is, in the process of taking this off, when I took the last one out, the chassis popped up a bit. There was obviously a bit of tension on this. I had it on the trolley jack there. The car's currently sitting on, I'll show you it, little hydraulic scissor pads. So I think what I'm going to need to do is just, I've ran out of travel on my trolley jack, is drop the pads down a wee bit just to bring the chassis that wee bit closer to get these screws started. So we'll do that in a sec. So what's happened, the axle relative to the chassis, or the diff relative to the chassis, had moved ever so slightly, just by a couple of mil, which meant this wasn't going on fully straight. I had to get a pry bar just to move this across ever so slightly, so I could hand start all of these bolts. So I'm going to torque them up to 13 Newton meters just now. So there's 30 there, 30 there, 30 there. And there we have one freshly installed rear diff mount. Fantastic. So that's the diff mount replaced. A wee word of caution, should you be doing this, because this is something I was unaware of from either looking at the factory workshop manual or indeed doing a wee bit of research online. When you are taking the four 13mm bolts out of here to access these two 22mm bolts, presumably a car is going to be lifted in some way and your diff is going to be supported. There is a bit of tension between this and the subframe it sits on. When you remove that last bolt, you release a bit of tension and this thing moves up quite sharply and quite a bit. It'll take you by surprise. It took me by surprise. It was okay, but it was just a wee bit of a shock. If you're not comfortable doing these jobs, don't do them. Take them to a competent person. But I definitely got a wee bit of a surprise with this. So just to let you know if you're doing it yourself. The other thing you might find when the chassis and this separate is the alignment of these relative to each other will change ever so slightly. So when you go to put it back up again, you're maybe out by a mil or two. Make sure you get that alignment sorted out properly, because you don't want any side loading on these bolts. So get the bolts and the bolt holes aligned so that the bolts hand tighten in easily. Like I said, don't want any side loading in those. So something else to be aware of. As I said at the start of the video, there's another job to be done on the back end of this to help restore ride height and hopefully alleviate a wee bit of unpredictability it had going round the corners when I had it on the road back in 2017. And that is replace the rear subframe bushings. Once I get that done, I'll put a link up. In the meantime, there'll be a link there somewhere coming along very shortly for all the other stuff that this needs doing to it. There's a big board just off camera there with a large list of jobs to recommission this as it's been off the road since 2017. That video will show you why it's been off the road since 2017 and it might be of a wee bit of interest to you. So if you've enjoyed the video, it would be grand if you could press the like button. It all helps. I'm just a tiny channel at the moment, hopefully. or if you're looking for a wee bit more content on the W126, press the old subscribe button. That'll be a celebration for me. Every single subscription I see at the moment is a wee celebration. There's also content coming up on, just off camera there, I've got a 91 Z28 Camaro convertible. I do a wee bit of that. It's just basic maintenance really at the moment because it's such low mileage. But it's there's some good stuff on that. So thanks very much for watching. Hope to see you here again soon. And until next time, take care. Goodbye. Cheers.